easy to say that now. I think if you look at the first inning.
Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochannek here back in Sydney after the 5-day saga of the 5th test in Adelaide. Very proud of England, said Joe Root, and I think you have to say that our Steve Smith was very proud of his team as well. So I haven't been on every day, but it's been enthralling. I've tried my best to get some coverage of the media interviews. You can see the booklet behind me there, which was on offer, and the members of my YouTube channel will also be able to access this magazine, so which is great. The Australian fan reaction of the whole year. I had a lot of people on regarding a lot of shows, from the IPL to the England-India series to the Australia-India series right at the beginning of the year. Now, of course, coming to the end of 2021, we've got one more test in this year, which will be, well, actually there's two. South Africa play India on Boxing Day and Australia play England in the Ashes on Boxing Day. They're the last two tests I'm aware of. Maybe other matches, but they're the two significant matches, which I'll cover both. Australia 2-0 up in the series against England in the Ashes. I didn't expect it to be 2-0 down. I thought it would be 1-1, but there's still 3 matches to go. I think 2 of them England have got a great chance, and 1 we'll wait and see. So it could be 3-2 England rather than 3-2 Australia. 3-2 Australia, not 3-2 England, which I predicted. But I didn't expect them to lose Adelaide. I thought they were going to win Adelaide. They haven't got their act together yet. It's not over yet. Their learning curve is there. They're, as Joe Root said, their desire and attitude was there very clearly today. So in day 5, so that was a good result. Yeah, so it's the 21st of December here, which is still the 20th of December in most other countries. I've sent out a few invites to people. We'll see whether they come. But the fan reaction was particularly impressive. Australia fans were particularly happy with the way things have gone. A lot of grit and determination has been shown by Pat Cummins in the first test and now Steve Smith in the second. But England should also be proud of their performances. Joe Root has been magnificent. So has Milan. Butler tried very hard today on some 207 deliveries. Was only on 26 odd runs. So sad because he got out walking on his stumps. You could argue if he was still there, they may have had a chance to draw him, but it didn't happen. They're up against it. They fought till about 20 overs to go, which was roughly, an hour and a half's play. Manu John thinks that Sky is sky high mad. Thoughts on Harris not being dropped? Yeah, very. He may still not be in the side for the third test because Khawaja is in the squad as well. You could see Khawaja go ahead of him. I hope it happens. I hope it does. Rory must be sent away well. Majest Gamer, how are you? Thanks for being my biggest fan. I appreciate that. Look, the reality is that Australia are 2-0 up in a 5-test series. They're in a box seat, aren't they? They win one more test and they won the series. And they've got 3 tests to do it, so they're in the box seat. England, if they get everything going their way, they may have a chance of picking up something out of this. Next match is in Melbourne. I predict they're going to win in Melbourne. I predict they're going to win in Adelaide, but I was wrong. But Melbourne and Hobart could still be in favour of the team, the England team. But I think Australia will win the Sydney test, but there may be a draw amongst them. They may have 2-2. It could easily have been 1-0, not 2-0 today, if they drew. Hamid can have it. Hamid should stay. Rory Burns. Oh, gee, they're going to make some serious thoughts there. They're probably going to bring in Leach in the bowling line and Wood. which means someone will have to be rested. It'll be interesting to see what England does there. Will they bring Johnny Bairstow in? Will they keep Butler? I think they're going to keep Butler for sure. His efforts today in the batting, even though he didn't score runs, he stayed there for 207 deliveries, which is pretty good. Why is it that there is always less people on day 5 in Australia? It's off other way around, subcontinent, especially at home. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I guess it's, first of all, it's not ticketed. So people don't have they don't actually prepare, they actually plan for it. A lot of test matches finish in 4 days in Australia, so the 5th day is not really a day anyway. And yeah, that's interesting. Especially if it gets close, that could have been a very tight draw. But it's a good point. It is what we sort of die for. I guess with that intense intensity early on, we basically, not sure what happens there. Yeah, this particular session I've got in front of us here, guys, is normally one that I would have with my mates up in Queensland. They're not here. So I thought I'd use the template. There's 145 likes already for it. Quite an incredible breakdown indeed. So there's not a lot of live viewers either, but that's all right. We have to understand that this is not about how flashy a face. Maybe it's the Omicron magic. What do you mean by face? I don't get it, Marjan. Ray, PMB9, Melbourne victory. The soccer team now. Yes, is that what you're going for? That's good. No, it's a normal occurrence in Australia. Look, England have 3 matches left. I don't expect them to win all 3 and then win the series. That would be quite a miracle, especially with the way that Australia's gone the first 2. But they could win certainly 1 or 2. Not win the series, maybe. Australia win 3-2. Or it could be even 2-all if England really put their act together and there's a draw for them. They could have drawn today. They could have, but they didn't. So they could have, would have, should have. They didn't do it. So, that's really the pity about the whole thing, isn't it? It's quite a pity. Why is Melbourne the best sporting state in Australia? Well, it's not it's the best venues, definitely. Best venues. Best location, the loyalty, the dedication, the one-eyed nature of the Melbourne fans, maybe. Is there any way England can bounce back in the next 3? Well, look, if everything went their way, if Milan and Root bat as well as they do and Butler gets his act together, Stokes hasn't had a great series so far. The bowling's been good to average to good to average. They haven't got the spin department right. The openers are crucial, though. England has to get better opening partnerships than what they're getting. Has to. And it hasn't happened. So that's where one of the issues really lie. It really lies in that whole scenario there. So, yeah, that's where I think that that's where the problem really starts and finishes there, guys. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting 3. Which one was that? Okay. Anyway, we'll wait and see on that one. Melbourne is much better than Sydney. Well, I think Sydney's the best city. I mean, it's got so much up on harbours, beach beaches, Harbourage Opera House, a great cricketing ground, sporting grounds too. So, but Melbourne's more of a sporting city, yes, and they're fanatical. England bowling has been pretty average. Root has been impressive with the ball, though. Yeah, England hasn't been that average. Is AFL been more popular than BBL? No. BBL is still more popular. They gave all these free tickets to some games in Melbourne, but I don't know whether it's necessarily reached fever pitch all over the country at all. It is so hot here in Sydney. It's like on a furnace or sauna. Rather incredible. I mean, other than the Melbourne test, this is kind of one of the last lives we'll be doing. So I thought I'd throw in this one that we're waiting to do for some time. Yeah, so. Well, I'm getting a lot of questions, guys. The questions are flowing up. I should put the banner on the bottom, shouldn't I? So let's edit this. So England were all out What did England end up getting? England got 239, I thought. Let's have a look here. Let's look at there. So scorecard, obviously the first innings, Australia got 9 for 473, which I've got down there. Then England got all that for 236, actually. Australia with 9 for 230. And 192. So we didn't about any of their innings. We declared both our innings at 9 down, 230. So won the toss and bat with 8. So I'm for 2. Okay, so Australia won the toss and batted with 9 for declared for 473. So winning by, so they scored 275 runs, winning by 275 runs now. And Labuschagne got the man of the match. Man of the match. So we have a score there at the bottom there. Australia won the toss and batted. Australia 9 declared for 473, and England all out for 236, and then 192. With Australia 9 declared for 230, winning by 275 runs and Labuschagne man of the match. Okay, that's what we're calling. Yeah, so there we are. Why did the Smith take the follow-on? Because it's a safe way of playing, and it's proven correct anyway. Why did Adam Reynolds leave the Arrows Ray Pambino? Yeah, he wanted more money. Simple as that. And he done his best in South. I think he broke all records, the highest run sort of point scorer, most matches I think as well. He's up there with everything. So yeah, he may come back. Why didn't Smith take the follow-on? Well, as I said, it wasn't necessary. It was the wrong decision. Anthony sort of flexing. Yeah, fair enough. Hello, Norman. Hello. Cameron Murray, is he good? Cameron Murray is fantastic. But Ray PMB, no. So McGill, is he involved with these cartels? Well, you'd have to wonder that he must be involved with something because it seems to be a lot of dispersions of his character, I'm afraid. But no charges were formally laid, so we can't talk about that in that manner because no charges were formally laid. So I've written up showing you articles with Michael Slater and his domestic violence problems at home, and obviously the issues now with Stuart McGill are percolating away, although he hasn't been formally charged for anything drug related at all. Make that very clear. Yeah, so that's a. I mean, can I have one more chance? So I agree. So why doesn't why don't Oz play more games in Marvel Stadiums close? They should. Bowling has been pretty average. We're just pressing the ball down. Yeah, he has. Okay. Still early days with the Test series. I know it's gone very strongly in the manner or the favour of the Australians, that's for sure. How are you, Brian? How worse is English openers according to you? How bad? Well, Manu Jean's asking the openers, gee, they're going to have. Well, Australia's not changing Marcus Harris, are they? They're keeping him in there, at least in the squad, with Kawaja floating around. So England may well keep Hamid and Rory Burns. Who knows? What do you think?
Marcus Harris, I think. See, till now, what has his innings been? If I'm not wrong, 3, 4, 123, and then a 9. So out of his 4 innings, I think combined he has not even scored 50 runs. So if Australia needs to make a change, I think at least in the batting lineup, he's the number 1 choice. And if you ask me, I think he has got a good enough opportunity, and maybe to give someone else a chance, maybe like Khwaja, it would be something good to do.
Yeah, I agree. Merv Hughes was talking on radio. I heard him talk about. He threw in the 3 young guys out there that he mentioned. None of them have really come through yet. The point is that forget age. We should be forgetting about age. If they're playing well, they stay on the side. It's as simple as that. So Khwaja should be able to come back in. He's 34, 35. So what? Warner's 35. He's still on the side. So why would he put Khwaja there? Marcus Harris is a bit younger, but he hasn't scored a century yet. You can't keep putting someone in a Test side if they don't score a century. You can't.
But up till yesterday, Norman, honestly, today, at least looking at England perform where Josh Butler, Chris Wokes batted, at least it gave me a modicum of hope towards England, towards the forms. Otherwise, till yesterday, honestly, the Ashes overall till now has been very, very boring. It has been one-sided. And honestly, yesterday, I even wrote in my friends, we have a cricket group where I said that I actually ended up watching Lanka Premier League than watching the Ashes. It's as an Australian fan, let's say if I was an Australian fan, I would prefer to win maybe 3-2 or 3-1 or 2-1. There would be some fun in the victory. But this performance by England has been completely lackluster. And batting wise, I see no tooth other than David Malan and Joe Root. And if you see Chris Wokes, the number 3 scorer for them has been Chris Wokes, who's the number 8 batsman. So that itself tells it all.
Look, Butler's still a fighter. He got to leave him. He did well considering today. Ben Stokes is a fighter. They've got to all click. They've got to click. That's the problem. Then they've got to bat first and get a big score on the board. They missed the opportunity in their first test doing that. The second test, Australia all over.
Their biggest problem is their openers and Ollie Pope right now. If you see, they're just like wasted wickets. And the start itself, it's like, it demoralizes you completely. So they really need to do some change-ups in the opening and as well as the Ollie Pope, if you ask me.
Yeah, but Zach Crawley, look, I rated David Malan, I think I told you before the series started, and he's proven to be good on Australian surfaces. He's just missing out on getting in a century mode, but he's doing very well to get 80s, okay? He's doing his job. Rory Burns and Marcus Harris on both sides, they really should be given. But look, I actually don't think the sides won't change as much as we think. It's going to be interesting to see what they actually do. Zach Crawley's somebody who can bat, okay? And in Australian conditions in particular. So they should let him just do it and see how he goes. It's hard because it should get a bit easier for England now. They've been here for a while now. They're getting a rhythm going, even though they're losing. Melbourne, Sydney, and Hobart are the pitches that will certainly be more their way friendly. They have to find spinners. They can't bring in people in there that shouldn't be bowling. So they should get their act together and be very aggressive.
Norman, yesterday, let me tell you, watching Ollie Robinson bowl off spin was, it was horrible. It's like what are England as a team stooping down to? Making
Lee should have been there.
Imagine would Josh Hazelwood or Pat Cummins for Australia ball off spin? Means I don't know, just to get their overs in, for them to get paid, get their match fee, which they lost from the last match. They lost points also.
Oh my God! And they've lost from this match as well. The early days. Okay, Robert Muller's. Hello, Robert. He says, "Hey, Norman, how are you? I'm great. It's time Harris goes. I think so. What do you think about Nessa? Look, Michael Nessa's a true performer. He's not going to be your standout lead bowler, but he will take wickets. I think Jai Richardson's shown in the second innings that he can bowl to 5 wickets. He's a worthy replacement. But Pat Cummins will be back in the third test, and probably, Hazel they're not sure about, but at least Cummins will be back. So Michael Nessa's gone from the squad, at least from the team. And in terms of the batting, if Marcus Harris goes, it's going to be Khawaja. Simple as that.
I think Australia currently, they are not taking much to worry than about Harris. But you look at England side, the batting is completely dumb. Their fielding has been most horrible. Like, forget the drop catches in the field, but Josh Butler, I don't know, I find it that he was catching impossible catches, which no keeper would have ever caught. And he's missing catches, which I think maybe only Kamra Lakwal would have dropped them. So it was horrible to see, especially the Manas Labuschagne catch. I don't know how did he drop that. Means any keeper with his eyes closed would have caught that, just by the sound of the ball and the feel, the vibrations in the air. An average keeper would have caught it.
So, is it possible to have Butler stay as a batter and not to keep? Is the question.
Yeah, could we get in Bairstow and put him in? I think Josh Butler, it would be. I think he had one bad match. I would put it, but one bad match, I would say keeper dropping one catch. Okay, I would agree. He dropped multiple catches. I think four or 5 simple catches, I would say he dropped.
Okay,
2
so
would be very
could
simple.
have
3 would be still regulation catches. Catches which keeper could take. But I would say instead of Ollie Pope, they need to get in Bairstow and maybe difficult to. But problem is these are the players that England have. They don't have anyone from the backup, at least on the batting side. And every time I see they do some changing in the bowling, but nothing happens in the batting. And the problem is the batting, not the bowling.
I would open with. I would still keep Hamid. I would put in Zach Crawley. I would put in. So imagine Hamid and Zach Crawley still bat high. Then you've got even Josh Butler could be considered for an upper order position, honestly, and then bring in Bairstow and the like. And I think that would be possible. Yeah, Don Best is
maybe even get Bairstow to open the innings. Do some change. He opens in ODI or make him open in Test. Something like how Sehwag, how India had experimented with Sehwag.
Tarun V is right. They're missing Moeen Ali and Archer. I agree with that.
They're missing again, but these are people. See, Archer would be bowling wise. I don't see England lack the arsenal. It's batting wise. Moeen Ali, would have added something as a spinner, as a batter, because the current 2 spinners that they have, Jack Leach and Dom Bess, they are in no way batters. So yes, batting lineup Moeen Ali would add some kind of a punch. But the big names are not clicking. Neither Joe Root made a big thing. A lot of hopes on Ben Stokes. Even he has been, I would say, very below average. Not bad, but
Yeah,
way below
but
his
he
average.
can still click. He can still click. I actually think a guy like Ben Stokes likes. He's back against the wall. He wants to have everything difficult. He wants to
Yeah,
come
but
back from.
this match was back against the wall. Now, how much you want? By the next match, I think it would be through the wall.
Let's just see how Melbourne, Sydney, and Hobart go.
No, but till now it has been, except for, I would say, today there was, as I said, some modicum of hope I see for England. But the 9 days of cricket that we saw before this, or not 9, 8 days technically, or seven, 7.25 days, whatever you can call it, have been horrible.
Yeah, many people have been saying
There is no fun of watching the Test cricket, and that too a game like Ashes. Means, like, if you see in Test bilateral tournaments, this is the number one. This is the biggest, but it has been a big disappointment.
Yep. So Robert Moore reckons bring Bairstow in for Burns. Why not? Keep Hamid there, and then Wood into Robinson's spot and Best for Pope. That could well work.
Burns, I don't know, his footwork is, I don't know, he's dancing more on the pitch, like how much he moves, and like the first ball, first match. Imagine getting his leg stump was, he crossed so much across the line that his leg stump was out of the ground.
The thing is, it's all about the way you started Test series. That was the worst possible, performance to have when you lose a wicket in your first ball. It sets the tone of the series, doesn't
The same thing happened with India also, Norman. Like, if you remember the first match, I think Prithvi Shaw was out in the first over itself, first or the second over. And both the innings he was out, and Ricky Ponting even predicted that he will be out like this, that this is his weakness, and exactly that way he got out. Then India obviously got the 36 all out, but then they came back. I thought England would come back strongly in this match, given the first match beating. Okay,
especially Anderson and Broad. I thought they would make a big difference. And they certainly did take wickets, but they didn't penetrate. And again, look, Labuschagne got man of the match, okay? But he got 103 and 50 on, which looks very impressive on paper. But at the same time, he looked very shaky through all of his innings. I'm not convinced that he was man of the match. I think Jai Richardson deserved it, actually. I would argue he should have been the one.
I would say, in fact, Josh Butler should be man of the match. He was the one who took it, who at least made the match exciting from both sides.
That's fine.
No, I hope Joe Root plays the next match, and I think hopefully he scores breaks Mohammad Yusuf's record of the most runs in a calendar year for a Test. I think that's the only solace that England can see in this Test year. Otherwise they have been horrible. Like, they are behind India in their home series. They lost to New Zealand. They lost to whom? They lost to, I think, even West Indies.
Oh, look, England had a great year in a lot of ways. They gave it to Sri Lanka. They did give India a run for their money. They did play well in the World Cup, even though they didn't make the final. Joe Root's been fantastic.
They lost to New Zealand at home, Norman. And also, technically, they have lost to India at home.
What do you mean they lost at home to India?
India is 2-1 up, right, in the 5-Test series.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't bag England. They're not a bad side. Imagine if they had Jofra Archer. He would have made a difference. Don't you reckon? Jofra Archer would have made a big difference?
See, we said Ben Stokes, before the Ashes started, Ben Stokes being there, we said Ben Stokes would make a difference. Then in the second match, when we said Anderson and Stokes came, they would make a difference. Now we are saying Archer would make a difference. After that, what?
Well, so, but Jofra Archer's not coming back, so he's not going to make any difference at all.
So like, if wishes were horses,
Okay, let's just assess Anderson's bowling. Anderson and Broad have not bowled badly. They've bowled very well. They beat the bat a lot. They didn't have any luck.
See, again, Norman, England's bowling is really not the problem. It's their batting. It's really their batting which is the problem. I don't think their bowling department, they have only problem. I think their bowling department would be a good spinner, or good spinner would be in this match. Why they didn't play a spinner was beyond imagination, and they ended up bowling Ollie Robinson and David Malan. I think David Malan took 2 wickets also. Joe Root bowling. In fact, I think they should not even take because their spinners are very mediocre, if you ask me. I think Joe Root or balls better off spin than Dombes or Jack Leach.
Well, that's what they thought. You said, I'm afraid to say that Leach got smashed in the first match. Best hasn't really gained his form back. Probably Joe Root is the best available player to actually do the spin bowling. So I don't know whether that's unless Leach and that bowl well, I can't see them being the solution. We've got to bolster the batting. You said I think Bairstow should come in. I think that Zach Crawley should come in for sure. So Saroon V has said Baram is right. Batting is the main problem. The whole team believes on Joe Root and Stokes. Okay, fair enough.
At least they are very lucky that they got David Malan, who's they made that change in India, and he has been performing well. Imagine if there was no David Malan, and where would this team have been?
So Rob marks England selectors. Their tactics and their batting are the three main issues. Well, the tactics of the field placements were very poor. That's for sure. That didn't work. The selectors, well, there are no selectors. They're scouts. The selectors are the coach now and the captain. Okay, so there is a bit of a difference there. That'll be hard to understand. And what was Joe Root doing? Baram, what was Joe Root doing batting without a box? Can you give me any reason whatsoever why you would do that?
Batting without a box means? A guard. You're talking about the guard.
Yeah, but if you bat with that box in the game, then you bat, and that's you. And if you want to keep protected,
I think he in the morning he got hurt with throwdowns. Norman,
he got hit the balls.
Yeah, he got hit in the balls by a ball, but it in the morning, like before the match started, it was in fielding practice, not while batting practice.
No, throwdowns.
Yeah, throwdowns were it was fielding, not batting.
Are you sure?
Sure, it was fielding.
All right. I would argue if you're going to do well, he's going to from now on when he does fielding practice, he'll wear a box.
And then he got hit again, unfortunately.
Have you ever
and
been hit?
It was very unfortunate to get out of the but Mitchell Stark bowled very well. The field set was very well, and they really trapped him very well. So
Steve Smith
let's
said
say
that
Joe Root would have been not out last night. Maybe who knows? Maybe we could have seen a draw from England today.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear what Joe Root had said, that he was not Joe Root. Sorry, Steve Smith had said that he was so impressed with the way that Mitchell Stark stood up to be the leader of the bowling pack and to bowl longer spells and put more effort in to try and lead his pack in place of Cummins and Hazelwood. And that's a fair point. He did rally the forces. He actually surprised me at how good a leader he can be. Actually, I was quite impressed with the way he did that.
Agree.
Kerry Keith.
Australia get, I would say top marks in all the department, like the bowling, fielding, as well as batting. They dropped
No.
till now. What in the 2 Test matches, Australia would have dropped maybe 2 catches, if I'm not wrong, 2 or 3. Whereas England has dropped what 20 plus. I lost count also.
You know, it comes from lack of confidence. And if your team's in a mood where you're on knife's edge, it is quite difficult. So, yeah, so who the commentator was that talked about Joe Root's injury, that was quite a few, actually. Merv Hughes talked about it. He enjoyed it, actually. Petrus JHA, we haven't seen you for a while. I'm sorry.
No,
With
the match was actually so boring that people were. I saw like Warner was in the middle. They were showing Warner was, Warner, Steve Smith were there sitting, and Warner suddenly sneezed, and he sneezed so hard that the chair moved from the chair on which he was sitting, but actually moved across. Went to the right side. And 15 minutes they are just discussing on that. I said, there's a cricket match going on, and discussion is happening that Warner sneezed and he moved. It means that it was
there's
that boring.
there's some pretty amateur. There's certainly some pretty amateur commentators at the moment. I'm afraid in Australia we've gone through a bit of a lull. We've got some pretty ordinary commentators indeed, and I think there's a real problem there with our commentary, and I'm concerned about it. So Robert Muller, 89. Shane Warne was one of that made fun of it. Shane Warne did make fun of it. Yeah, I wish they didn't talk about it at all, because it became a bit boring, the whole Joe Root thing. It was funny a little bit, but not for long.
Yeah, you talk one sentence, 2 sentences. The next ball, you move with the cricket match, not drag it on for 15-20 minutes. That's what I can say.
The worst example is Michael Vaughan. He was sacked. Well, he was effectively sacked.
Also, I think he saw that sneeze of Warner.
Bram, that sneeze was something. Did you sneeze?
No, not me. I'm talking about Warner. David Warner, he sneezed and the chair moved.
Okay, go back for a minute. To me, a lot of press is sensationalising certain players. Michael Vaughan's one of the worst examples of that. He does it a lot. He was sacked by that racism scenario from whatever platform, Sky or BT News. Now he's on Fox. And really, I'm a bit disappointed with Australian media having him on after what he's done. He should not be allowed to be on another channel. Well, Mark, so what about the bad comments you were talking about? Bad comments. I mean, Michael Vaughan, for example. There's quite a few bad commentators at the moment. There's some guys on radio who probably shouldn't be there. That I like the guys, but they shouldn't be there. Merv Hughes is good value, but he's not a commentator. Mark Waugh. Oh my God, you can barely understand what he's saying. He mumbles. He doesn't speak clearly at all, even though he played for Australia. And he made a comment about another commentator who was just a commentator. He wasn't a cricket player. And he goes, "And who did you play for?" And I thought that was really rude. It wasn't funny.
Norman, one question, just since we're talking on this topic. I know, when players, they want to become coaches, they undergo a coaching training. So is it same for if you want to become a commentator, or there's nothing like that?
They have media training, absolutely.
Like what to say, what not to say, how to be on the topic, those kind of things.
Well, the channel does that for sure, but there's general media training at certain levels as well, and media briefings on how you should conduct an interview, who you can talk about, who you can't talk about, the way you talk about. That has been. I mean, the biggest thing they need to learn is to understand. We do want to hear their stories about how they went through games. We do want to hear them, but we don't want to hear nothing but that. Does that make sense? They can overdo. You can overdo talking about, when I was playing in 1985, this happened. Yes, you can use that, but do it subtly. Don't do it like like an Alan Mullally style where you just keep on just talking about yourself in a way which is just beating your own drum. The midlife crisis of ex-Australian cricketers are hitting all new level. Now, Mark Waugh getting into mumble rap. at this age is, for the lack of better words. Yeah, I agree. No one kind that did a good job was Adam Gilchrist. Adam Gilchrist is fantastic because he's a humble guy. He's a very level-headed guy. Mike Hussey tries very hard. Shane Warne isn't bad at what he does.
Shane Warne goes off track, but he gets back on track also quickly. If you ask me, that's what I've seen. He goes off track, talks some, gives some lower the belt remarks. He does that. I'm not saying no on that.
Of course he does.
But that's okay. But he gets back on the track very quickly also, like gets back to the point in hand or the match in hand. Whereas some others, like it's like they make that as the topic of discussion and the cricket actually takes a backseat.
Isha Gill is good because she has played cricket, but she's also very good. Merv Hughes, well, he doesn't get many gigs on many stations because he talks a lot of stuff that probably is a bit silly, and he's not that well regarded. But he has some good points, so it's difficult though. He's on for too long. It can be quite difficult. But Mark Taylor's, I'm surprised how actually Mark Taylor's really boring. I didn't realise how boring he was because when he's surrounded by Richie Benaud and Healy and those people, he seemed to do a bit better. But now that he's away from them, he's more exposed to where we're listening to him only, and it's becoming a bit boring. But yeah, look, Jimmy Maxwell's still the best for me. He's brilliant. Do I like Rob Marks is asking, do I like Mark Howard? Now, Mark Howard he's well spoken. He's very Australian. He covers a lot of sports, but I think he's starting to get a bit too, he's talking about his Howie games, his own podcast, a little bit too much. But he's all right. But there's Channel 7 and Foxtel, they tend to overtake things. They're both okay. Look, it isn't. We've lost our best ever commentators. Richie Benaud, certainly Bill Lawry with Tony Gregg, Max Walker, Ian Chappell at his best. They were out and out the best. Michael Slater wasn't too bad, but he's made a goose of himself. He's not doing it at the moment. Mark Taylor's on his own is very boring, but he's okay with other people. There's not much else left. Mike Hussey tries hard, but Adam Gilchrist is great. Brendan Julian's pretty good. Mark Waugh mumbles and mumbles and mumbles. And I don't know what he says half the time. And he should stick to playing cricket. And he doesn't like people talking down about anything he's done. Like he never scored a double century, whereas other people did. He hates that being mentioned. Well, I'm afraid if you mention things, well, people can mention things about you. Robert Miller saying Bill Lawry, Mark Nicholas. I wasn't a huge fan of Mark Nicholas, but he was okay around that group. James Brayshaw has definitely got, he's from South Australia. He has his South Australian posse there with Greg Blewett and certain players that he brings on that are, that's okay. I can handle that. But he's not too bad. It's just interesting to see that it takes a number of years to get used to people being your broadcaster, doesn't it? If you're used to, like, Richie Benaud and Tony Gregg. Did you like listening to Richie Benaud, Tony Gregg?
Richie Benaud, not just, see, his voice itself is like very unique and very soothing. The voice itself was, I don't know if you've heard of ASMR. You just hear Richie Benaud's voice and it calms you down. And he had a very soothing voice. And also the way he spoke about or explaining the things was also brilliant. I think I would say he's like the Don Badman of commenting, like people who really look up to that.
Oh, yeah. Now, Rob Marks, he misses the Channel 9 commentary. I do too, to be honest. I think Channel 7 and 10 are not worthy of it. They can do the BBL and all that other rubbish, but I don't think they should be doing test commentary.
Tarun asked, like, is this the only day-night match? I think there's one more, right? The Hobart one, right?
It looks as though Hobart's going to be day-night as well.
Okay. Melbourne and Sydney would be day matches.
Yep.
Why do they select Adelaide only as a day-night match? Why every time they see why it's only Adelaide as a day-night? Why not Sydney or Melbourne? Why don't they shuffle it?
I don't know. I don't know why. I think that Adelaide went very hard on the bid. They really tried to get it, right? And it's for their benefit. Sydney and Melbourne probably doesn't like to break tradition as much, I think.
Okay.
Sanju Manju, yeah, I've heard of him. Adelaide has better lights. Adelaide has better lights. It may well be that maybe
Sanjay
something
Manju,
simple as
Sanjay
that.
Manjarekar.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's some great commentators out there. There really are. I mean, Harsha Bogley, I'm not saying he's not good because he's well respected and he's well liked. But I think that, Deep Dasgupta is very good. He's excellent. He's been
You
great.
see, Harsha Bogle, Deep Dasgupta, these are very, they are, I would say, Richie Bennett side. Sanjay Manjarekar, Akshay Chauhan, these are people who put a lot of, especially when they talk in Hindi commentary, they put a lot of spice with, how can you say, poetry in between or poetic lines or how do you, what do you
Makes
call
it
that?
interesting.
Not interesting. They had a kind of a spice that I would say a major of the Indian audience likes that. It's something like Bollywood, like people like entertainment, which they add into it with cheeky
Actually,
lines.
Ravi
They
Shastri
put a lot of
is very good. Ravi
they
Shastri is
put a
good.
lawyer. Ravi Shastri was very good in commentary. So they put a lot of cheeky lines in that.
All right, let's talk about India and South Africa for a minute. That's coming up in 5 days' time. Now, they
I
haven't
thought
got
India
Rohit.
South Africa was starting on December 17th. I got surprised that it's so late.
Originally it was, but they're not now.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd read
So
somewhere.
they moved all the tests forward. Now,
Okay.
Rohit Sharma's not playing. I don't think Rahane will be. He's on the tour, but I don't think he'll be playing.
Hey, if they've told KL Rahul as the vice captain, they have declared it, then that means Rane is not playing. It's all very clear. They have also taken Priyank Panchal from there. Then Mayank Agarwal, given his performance, has to play at least 2 matches, 2 or 3 matches, because now they cannot. Yeah, now they cannot remove him. So there's everybody in the fray. But the biggest talk point is the issue going on with Virat Kohli and BCCI. That is something really like. I think Virat Kohli is telling the truth, maybe, and in BCCI, maybe Saurav Ganguly was not communicated properly. So I think he will get to the depths of it. So whatever, it's a very. I think that I think there's no problem there is no animosity between Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, but it's this kind of, I think, more to do with between BCCI or some selectors with Virat Kohli. I think there is something going on right there, even from, if you remember the World Test Championships from before that, what you heard that people were not happy.
Look, Vera's not silly. He knows what's going on around him, and he knows his days were numbered with the T20 captains, and he relinquished that. Okay, as well as now probably the ODI, but he's still going to play those formats. So we're going to see a lot better play from Kohli now that he's got rid of the captaincy.
Let's hope, Norman. You're saying let's hope.
Well, we should. I mean, look, I know he hasn't played well for some time, but he's a great player. I mean, there's no doubt. How can I get off screen?
See, for Test, I would stay still. His performance has been acceptable. I would say not great. I would say not even good with Virat Kohli standards. Acceptable. But his performances in T20 or ODI, I don't even last remember when did India play a ODI with him. Last I remember the Sri Lanka series where the India B team was sent, but with COVID, the D team ended up playing. So that kind of issue happening.
Oh, look, Virat Kohli is going to come back at some stage. Never you mind. And I reckon there'll be a certain click that will happen. There'll be a certain standout innings that he will perform. Then things will he'll have a huge run on after that. It's typical
People
of a
are,
man.
Norman, this exact statement that you're saying, people have been saying, I'm hearing this since last 1 year plus. Oh, you need that one match. Oh, you need that one match, and you would click, and then you see this. Honestly, my ears are bleeding now hearing that. let's be realistic. Let's be realistic.
Okay,
It means
let's take another tack.
no one is
Let's say
bigger than the
Kohli.
game. Let's be
Let's
on
say
that. I
Kohli.
agree. Kohli is a legend and everything, but everybody should. There should be a. You just cannot go on past laurels and keep on. There should be a clear cut. Okay, I'm giving you 5 games. You get your act straight. There should be something
Okay.
clear on that.
Imagine if Kohli stopped right now or didn't play another game. He would be a legend. What he's done.
Yes.
Okay. His record as captaincy of Test matches is the best of India. Full stop.
70 centuries itself is a legend, Norman. You are already in talks of legend when you have 70 centuries to your name.
So we need not worry about whether he scores another run. We want him to, but we need not worry at the moment. He has proved himself. So that's one thing, to put that to one side. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Okay? We just hope that he gets some form going so we can enjoy.
I would disagree there, Norman. I would disagree there. I would agree on him being a legend. He has already done great for Team India and everything. But moving forward, see, in the end, it's as a country, you need to win matches. You need to win tournaments. You need to get trophies, because trophies are something.
Their Test performances, they beat Australia, even though he wasn't captain. He was still there as captain. They made the World Test Championship. There's some big developments. They beat India. So they beat England and India. They beat New Zealand recently. They smashed New Zealand. Smashed them. Absolutely smashed them. I don't care who was available. Doesn't matter. They smashed New Zealand. They've done very, very well. They have done very, very well.
See, I would put it in this way, Norman, that India, given their team combination, given the talent available, should have won at least half of the ICC trophies that Virat Kohli played that we did not win. At least half. I think there would be 4 or 5. We should have won at least half of them, which we did not. I think that is the biggest. And to me, I think the World Test Championship was, I think, the final straw. That did not happen. But then I think Virat Kohli even got one more chance with the T20. There, I would say that was the unlucky with the toss playing such a major factor, and the 2 critical matches India lost the toss. But again, it is, all losing a toss, unfortunately, in cricket is blamed to the captain. So this is what happened.
Yeah, I'm still,
because trophies is something that you remember. People remember, and kids remember, and it's something nobody's going to remember India Australia bilateral that India won. Okay, only those who saw it that time they'll remember.
Okay, but records will always show him as the best, most successful captain. But the stats will always show him as the best Indian captain in Test cricket ever. Okay, he's not taking. That is a monumental feat. It's not one glorious game. It's a feat over many games. So you've got to give him.
But you need to see, as a selector, though, as a BCCI, you need to look forward. You cannot look on past laurels and continue with that. You give certain games to, yes, out of form is okay, but there should be limit with that. I think India overstretched it with Rane. For sure, overstretched it with Rane. Look at the number of chances Gill has been also up and down. But if you ask me, I can argument for the same thing with Mayank Agarwal, and you see the chances that Shubman Gill gets, and you see the chances that Mayank Agarwal gets. Are you saying that it is as a one bad match and he's out? Whereas Rane will play matches and he's still in the team. So there should be parity also on that, right? You cannot take example of Priyank Panchal. Because of all things, see, Priyank Panchal is a great player, but he's not getting an opportunity.
Okay, but Shreyas Iyer and Agarwal have made themselves almost certain to be picked for the South African Test series. Both of them. They both batted fantastically well against New Zealand at home, and I think Agarwal's got the ability to do so away from home, and Shreyas Iyer too. Ultimately, they've got other players there that are in the squad. I mean, my God, there's so many, aren't there? There's so many in that squad. The A side, oh my God, so many batters that it was.
Yeah, see that's the see. This is not the England team where you have nobody like the batting side. You don't have anyone to fall back, so you're continuing with them. The situation with England is different. The situation in India is other way. You have so many back in the line, but still you are pulling on with Rane. Still you are pulling on with even to a point Pujara, and even to a point with Kohli. Sorry to say that, but that's the reality in the current last 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, I'd say just
that's a fact. You just cannot deny that. That's really what I'm trying to say. I think they have pulled. Looking at what has happened with announcing, they have pulled the plug on Rane.
I had that incident today, which was the discussion I was having with on my videos on people, and their interest is not always based on someone popular, someone who's of interest in the video. I'm saying to you, that's also important. I've had some very interesting people lately that have been on that I wouldn't have expected to be good, and we're going to do a lot more caricatures. That'll be fun. Diversification.
Okay, Norman, I'll make a move for today.
Right,
so
thanks
let's
for
hope
being with me.
let's hope England comes back with a good fight. Yeah, in the end, Australia wins the series, but England at least gives a good fight and makes the series interesting, because it's a. I would say this, if this series goes the way most probably it's looking like, it will be a whitewash. This series would be a flop
It will
of the
not be
Ashes.
5-0. It will not be 5-0. I'm sorry, it won't be 5-0.
Looking at the current way, Norman, I'm okay to even put my money on final.
Okay, all right. After last season, when we had Australia India out for 36, did you think it would be 2-1 the other way? No.
Yeah, I thought that, because India always loses or draws the first test match in a series.
Yeah. All right, Bram. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Bye bye.
Ciao. It's great having Bram. He's always good. He's always very good value. Knows his stuff and can make some very good points. The two channels now, but I just want to know what free-to-air channel we're talking about in India that covers the series. That's what I want to talk about. Well, in this particular case, England versus South Africa, and also this series, Australia versus England. No, we've done very well, guys. Prime made an exclusive deal with New Zealand Cricket to let them show matches, which is fair enough. If it helps the coverage, more people get to see it, all the better. If it doesn't, then it's not. What else? Streaming terms, what about Hotstar? Yeah, I don't know much about Hotstar in Australia. It's not really got much of it. I don't use it very often. I mean, it's KO, which is a part of the Fox network, and now they're going to move that back to Channel 7. They even tried Channel 9 to do some more commentary, but that didn't happen. Well, they're all dead almost, or they're almost gone. So wait and see what happens. Rane is unbeatable captain. He's not going to be captain again. All right, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll just have to go to the loo. It's so hot in here. You have no idea. I feel like I'm in a monsoonal something or other. It's awful. Give me 2 minutes, guys. Amuse yourselves and be back in a second. All right, so a bit of a toilet break there, guys. It can be long. Okay, so Tarun V, what are you saying? England failed to take 10 wickets in both innings. Yeah, that was a deliberate ploy by Australia, 9 declared. Well, that's another thing. Okay. Wilson bowling spin, that was crazy. Minus 3-0 in the last 2 matches won't be played due to recent. Nah. Let's hope. Look, the surge has been based on normal numbers, not necessarily dramatic in the way that they looked at it. So, yeah. All right, guys. So I'm saying revise down from 3-2 now that England have lost the first 2. They could still win 2 and make it 2-2 or lose 3-2. Just you're right. India will win South Africa. But I reckon they should. India should absolutely smash South Africa. Yes, after having what they've done in Australia, they won 2-1. They should beat South Africa even more convincing. Totally agree with that one. We'll do a preview about that specifically coming up, okay? On what will be the Australian 11 for the third test match. Okay. My 11, I'd have Khawaja in place of Marcus Harris, but that may not happen. So let's just say Harris / Khawaja and Warner. First drop will be Labuschagne, second drop Smith. Then you'll have, Cameron Green and Travis Head. They're still going to stay there. Then you have, you get into the bowling line, don't you? You're going to have Cummins come back. He'll be captain. You'll have Mitchell Stark. Yeah, maybe not. Let's go back a step. Let's look at Pat Cummins. Then you could consider keeping Wokes, but Wokes is under question. You could see Leach come in the bowl spin, and then we'd probably have either Wokes or Anderson's another one should be still in the 2. Wokes or Wokes would have to be considered maybe not in. So Leach would come in, Wokes out. Mark Wood may come in too. He's a contention, but and if that's the case, if he's in, then they may have to see someone else like Broad or Anderson not playing. But Australia, they're going to have. It looks as though they're definitely going to have Pat Cummins back, and Mitchell Stark may still play another match. Hazelwood's very doubtful. I haven't heard anything about him coming back. And then, of course, the spinners in Australia's case of Nathan Lyon. Yeah, Rory Burns probably won't keep his spot. I think Zach Corlett will come into play along with Johnny Bairstow. There'll be a change in composition to the top of the side altogether there. Difficult to know exactly what the order will be, but whether they put Bairstow up there or even Josh Butler, or alternatively have Bairstow or Josh Butler go up there, or alternatively bring in a change to the batting line and fundamentally even further, and that brings that Crawley in. That's where the changes should be. It'll be interesting to see whether that actually takes place. Very interesting indeed. India haven't won the series in South Africa, so your thoughts about this. That's a bit of a shock, really, but that's what happened. That's what happened. But now they've got every reason for it not to happen. They've got the best batting and bowling line, certainly much better than what South Africa got. South Africa bowlers are very weak. The batting's particularly weak. What will be so I've mentioned the Australian 11 already. Any more questions, guys? We'll talk more about more programs specifically on India versus South Africa, and we'll have more on the next Australian Test matches, as well as the matches which will happen in between India and South Africa as well. All right. Any other questions, guys? Defeating Team India is the ultimate frontier for any team. Your thoughts on it? Well, it's become that way, yes. It was a big hurdle for Australia for quite some time, actually. Yeah, it's a big hurdle. There's no doubt about that. Way beyond any else's thoughts of the situation with that, I must say. All right, defending us. All right, guys, we might end it there. I'm having a slightly shorter times live, so we'll finish up with that. Unless you've got some Pawan Kumar, hello. Defeating Team India. Okay, I've mentioned that already. Alex Carey was very impressive. Alex Carey's got his position well and surely signed up. Defeating Team India, anyways. Yeah, I don't think it was statistic that India, if they won a series in South Africa, will be holding back. I think it'll be the opposite. It'll slightly move more. We have a lot of interest with the fitness centre of Sripali Rudakotis there in Sri Lanka. It'll be great to see that happen. Smith or Cummins, who will be the captain next month? Cummins is definitely back as captain. Do you think Australia can beat India in the next BGT video? Well, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. It's past my bedtime, guys. It's now 1 o'clock in the morning. I need to get some sleep. Joe Root tactics were horrible. Well, yeah, they were. I realised some old thoughts. Smith or Cummins, who will be the next captain in the next place? Cummins will be captain. So Cummins is, and Steve Steve Smith, the captain, of course. We're talking about Steve Cummins, and here's what bowling. Oh, guys, I'm just wilting so quickly now. Okay, guys, if you like and share the post, subscribe, hit the notification button. We'll come back and do more videos very shortly. 2 videos, the other one with Jack, Joe Root, and one with the coach. Okay, which he's been one of the Willie, one of the boys for some time now. He's got a very good coach. Steve Smith, of course, was with Steve Smith was, of course, with a man who I would not have given credit for some things before, but no, he's been great. He's the keeper. Rishabh Pant. It's about 30 degrees Celsius here. Michael Ness average speed is only 130. Yeah, he's not fast, but he's accurate. He did a deceptively faster ball short through. Yeah, I don't think speed's what Michael Ness is all about. Palmy Kumar, I don't think that's what it's about at all. All right. We'll talk more soon, guys. All right. You're not providing with your saying gusto with questions. Right, guys. Oh. Bye, Norman. Good night. Thanks, guys. Speak soon. View, like, and share the post. Subscribe. My YouTube channel is there to subscribe to. I've got my Twitter account, Norman Koch. It's both Twitter and Instagram, as well as the Australian sign, which is my logo, and obviously we've taken it into a night out. It was quite incredible. Aussie commentators are missing Richard Punt. I think I am too. All right, guys. Let's have a look here. That's good. All right, guys. Talk soon.